You are now listening to the new Old Heads podcast, premiered every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time at BringDownTheBand.com, and brought to you by No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, and Sun King Brewery. Support the new Old Heads by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the new Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th, 1/4 of the new Old Heads, and also a producer with a pretty quick and fast computer. Joining me today, Terry gonna get mad. He'll be all right. Joining me today, as always, is the crew. I'm starting up top. My man, Kansas City Mac, aka the voice of Indianapolis. My man Jay Moore, rocking the St. Louis jersey. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Happy we got a little bit of sports back.
Yes, sir.
I've been watching the NBA games in the bubble. Been watching, of course, world champion St. Louis Blues.
Okay.
Playing the NHL bubble. St. Louis Cardinals not so much because they all went to a casino and got 13 of them got the Rona. So I don't think we're going to be able to finish baseball season, but it is what it is, man. Pay attention to the doctors and the scientists.
Well,
wear a mask.
I don't want to count your pockets, man, but I know that jersey probably at least go a couple all, give or take. I'm just throwing that out.
This is I don't want to say I caught somebody slipping because that makes it sound like crime. But
we don't do crime. We'll do crime.
I got this secondhand. This is an official CCM jersey from the. Blues only really wore this jersey for like a year and a half back in 95, 96.
Okay.
So, it's honestly probably one of the ugliest hockey jerseys ever produced. But being a St. Louis Blues fan, of course, I have a home and an away version of this particular jersey. So
it's all good. We're gonna pray for the fella that you took. We're gonna pray for the fella that you took that off of. My man DJ Jay Diff is in the building. How are you, sir?
What's happening?
What's happening, man? You all right?
I'm good, man. Just trying to stay busy. I've been riding my bike on the Monon Trail just to have something to do.
Are you balling?
I can dig it.
That has nothing to do with balling, good sir. That's
you gotta be balling, have a bike.
Terry got one of them bike bikes. You can't go to Walmart and get that one.
He got a bike.
Bike bikes.
A bike. You in there with the air aid circulating around you.
Feel you, man. It's all good. Glad to have you back, brother.
Indeed.
Routing out the squad with his long beard and comb for the culture. My man Lonegevity. How are you, sir?
It's Johnny Quest.
Johnny Quest. I'm doing all right, man. Living all right. Not walking on the Monon or riding, but
I feel you.
It's been nice the last few days. It would actually been nice to get out there.
Agreed.
Yeah, it really has.
I'm not mad at that. Agreed.
So.
Weather's been nice. But you good though? Other than that, everything good with you?
Yeah, man. Just working on this. I played the hell out of Ghosts of Tsushima. Is that? Yeah, I played the hell out of it over the weekend. Did not leave the house.
Like
The game is the shit. It's the shit.
It's just something that's quality enough for me to watch you play, because some of the games you play I can watch. I can't watch.
It's like Red Dead Redemption, but like with samurais. And,
I'm in for that. I'm down for that.
So it is pretty good. It's fun, man. So that and
have you played the black and white mode? Have you played it in the black and white mode?
I have not yet, but I'm still working through it the first time. But
is the blood at least red in the black and white mode?
It's like the blood code in Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen that yet, but that and mixing down, sequencing, mastering this project I'm working on, which is 100 tracks. And so
can't wait for that, man.
It's taken forever to do, but because I keep going back to the drawing board on the mixes because it's so many songs, but
that all have to sound close as possible.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's about it. And
yeah,
right.
I can dig it. Seems like everybody's in good spirits from their respective bunkers. So let's go ahead and jump into the rundown. So. Jaguar Wright, we were talking about in the pre-show. If you're here, for those that weren't, but we were talking about her, and I know she sang with Hov, and she had a couple some of her projects were actually dope. I'm not sure what she's put out, since we'll call it, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. She may have continued to be putting out music, but I know some of her early stuff was cold. But she's been in the news.
One album.
I know that first one was cold.
She put out that first one on MCA, and I really did like that one. I bought that.
Yeah, that first one was good.
Illusions and something else. That was actually a dope album. And then she put out Divorcing Neo to Marry Soul. I didn't feel that one as much. She did have a song on there called Free I really liked, and she's put out a couple of EPs.
Okay.
But you know, because that first album, of course, is on a major label, and then she went independent, and you know how that can go.
Yeah. Hey, good looking out, Jay. I didn't know that, so I didn't want to try to play her. I just wasn't familiar with that catalog that much after that first album. But she's been in the news, man, and she has some strong accusations about Common, about the Roots, and just in general that whole crew. We know they used to roll together, the Soul Aquarians, especially around Electric Circus times and stuff like that. But didn't see the live video. I just pulled the comments, and I'm gonna try to paraphrase here, but basically Jaguar Wright is saying that after a show, like, she was extremely tired coming back from a show, and back into the hotel room, and I guess Khan was trying to egg her on to be like, yo, what's up? And she's like, nah, I just want to lay down. And I'm going through some of the quotes here. She was like, I was on stage all night. I want to lay down. Then she says she laid in the bed with all of her clothes on because she's a rape survivor, which I didn't know. So she says that if you're gonna try to pull my pants down, by the time you get my pants down, I promise I'm knocking you in your jaw. Like, this is what she's saying on her live. Next thing she says, the next thing I know, I wake up in the morning and I feel something poking at my face, and I open my mouth, and they said she said, I'm gonna quote, I'm not gonna say that. She said it was Common's manhood that was around her mouth when she woke up after she fell asleep. She's like, Lonnie fucking Lynn, Rashid Common, whatever you want to call yourself. And she was like, that's why I stopped messing with him from that point on. I think Lone actually pulled a quote as well about Malik B. Rest in peace. Malik B. passed away from the Roots. But we'll get into that later, talking about the lyrics and Black Thought and all that type of stuff. But what do you guys think about this? Because this just it blindsided me to hear, her just go on a rant. My man Nate Jeezy said that there's like hours of this. Like, there's not just the ones that we pulled, the one I pulled for the show. Like, there's multiple videos, and it extends out longer for accusations. You guys think about this? I'll come to you first, Lon. What are your thoughts on this, just with Common and just as a whole?
Well, it's unfortunate to hear. Those are my comments. I mean, I'm not going to speak on the validity of what it may or may not be. If she says that this is what it is, then that's probably what it was.
Right.
So it's weird. The thing to me is that we're seeing so many of these accusations right now, just in the last 5 years or so, that it's and this is, for better or worse, definitely worse probably, it's very easy to just kind of think, wow, there's another one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what came to my mind with reading that. And, I know that's some male privilege, I guess, realistically, but it's, I don't know, man. It's unfortunate. I as you guys found out in the pre-show, I didn't even know who Jaguar Wright was at all. So, but this was, I'm guessing, pre-Erica, if we're thinking timeline. So pre-Erica, but I'm guessing late 90s. And so it's tough. It's just tough when it's like so much later. It's hard to wrap my head around it, and to like have any type of real like the comment, and shouts to Sean Orr. But yeah, it's just hard to have like an opinion on it at this point in time, because I personally feel it's none of my business, but at the same time, it is a serious accusation. So I'm obviously flip-flopping here, but it's it's just what it.
No, I mean, there's mad gray area here, so I understand where you're coming from. Like, it's one of those things, like you said, it's unfortunate, but you can't say that due to the times. You can say, oh, there's another one. I don't think that's I don't know if that's insensitive per se, but it's just is what it is. Like, we see this happen a lot in terms of the things that pop up. So I understand where you're coming from there. Jay Diff, jump in, man. Like, what are your thoughts about this? The timing, the execution, with it being on live and all that. Like, how do you feel about it?
Man, I mean, I'm not sure. I would kind of want to hear comments out of the story, see what's going on that way, because I mean, there's only one angle right now.
Right. That's true.
I hate to make light of the situation, but why would he just have his dick in her face when she wakes up?
Right.
I mean, I hope he wasn't looking to get his dick sucked while she was asleep.
Right.
That's not.
I mean, that's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say about it other than what Lon pretty much already touched on, as far as the I hate to call it a nuance, but the trend of people coming out later in time with accusations, and in some cases they are true and they just deal with the trauma, and I can understand that, but in other cases it's not true. It's a matter of wanting clout chasing, so to speak. That's the new thing, clout chasing. So I'd like to hear both sides of the story before I could actually give an honest opinion of what's going on. I don't know her. I don't know where she's at in life. I don't know if she's been through some things or she's making up stuff. Anything, like what you said, Nate Jeezy said she was going on for hours about certain things. So I don't know. I can't really speak on it.
Jay Moore, go ahead. I'm coming to you last on this one. Is it one of those situations where you want to hear from Common first before you try to, I guess, deduce or come up with something? Like, how do you feel in terms of that? Do you want to wait on Common before you get too far?
Well, one of the things that, when I first saw this story this afternoon, I almost wanted to say, I did say this. I did, there was no one around, so I said this to myself, essentially. Well, why now? But I also realized that's part of having male privilege, is where you can hear something like this and just question the timing. But, there's always been that, I heard someone say this, like, you can't heal what you don't reveal. And I don't know what made her decide that she was going to air out all these people now, but it might be her trying to get into her healing process. But at the same time, when the Me Too thing jumped off a few years ago, there was kind of a something where people would say, believe all women. And I have a certain level of pushback against that, because I think we should listen to all women. I think we should listen specifically, in this case, to Jaguar Wright, but we should believe all proof. But see, the hard part about that is, if it's a real he said, she said thing, there was no police report filed, or there was no other person in the room, this is how it's going to end. Because Common, all he has to say is, no, I didn't do anything like that. She must be mistaken. And because, quite honestly, he's a man and he is a more prominent figure within entertainment. People know Common. He's got the Grammys, he's even got an Oscar.
This Common the rapper. Yeah, this ain't Common. Common the
so
rapper.
We're talking about someone who's very famous, who probably Jaguar Wright at that time. Like I said, I'm saying if this happened, because once again, it is he said, she said. There's no way she would realize that Common would be as famous as he is now. At that there was a time where it was looking like Common's career was over at one point around the early 2000s, because like when everybody else is selling 5-6 million records and you're doing 350,400, which would be great today. That's just not someone you see being a big star 20 years down the line. Like I said, I want to hear from Common. I don't, this isn't something you could ignore. Not in 2020. These are serious accusations. Like, she made some serious accusations about some other people, but at the same time, I believe the most serious one from the video I watched, when you're talking, because she said say something, if Common would do something like this, what was described, like, that's the kind of cat that would do damn near anything. you know,
Well,
and I don't doubt that. And so, but also this is where it's going to get tricky because a lot of times people say, oh, that guy, that particular entertainer would never do anything like that. But then all it takes is that first person to say, this is what happened to me. And then all of a sudden it's going to be, you know, because for the longest time it was like Bill Cosby would never do anything like that, you know, because we kind of think of Common as a wholesome character. And the thing is, I've met him. He said, you know, not that we got to be friends and I got his phone number, but he seems like a genuine dude. You know, he's one of those people in celebrity relationships in a way we felt sorry for because he and Erykah Badu, you know, he writes about this in his book, were being abstinent. And then one day she shows up pregnant by like the DOC or somebody. And so like in a way, you know, he's always had this nice guy image, but really, I mean, Bill Cosby was America's dad. So
check this out though.
I don't want to cast aspersions.
Common used to bang Vice Lord. He really ain't always had the squeaky clean image.
Oh no, I mean, because I know people who knew him.
He was Common Sense, the Vice Lord.
Yeah, you know,
when he came here on some banging shit.
Young Wild, you know, you can hear that in his first couple of albums.
Common was straight off 87th, 100%. Let's jump in the chat real quick on this one because it's pretty active as it pertains to this topic. My man Nate Jeezy said Common is the footnote, like way in the back. Her beef is about the Roots shitting on Malik B for years while they rose to prominence, and then didn't honor him in his death. She also says she's ranting about all the artists that the Roots have fucked over through the years. So that's a good point. I didn't think about that. And it says he also said Jaguar was central in the OK Player movement, along with other people from Philly, like Dice Raw, Jazzy Fat Nasties, Ursula Rucker, etc. So, you know, it could be. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lone.
No, tell me the story if you guys know what's the story about why we stopped hearing Dice Raw as much on Root Records as well as Malik B. Why did this happen?
I don't even know, honestly.
I don't have that one for you. Yeah,
I mean, I remember Dice Raw put out his own album, and it didn't. It was on MCA, I believe, and it just didn't really pop.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like why don't we hear from Rozelle? You know,
that's true.
I used to think people were just rotating in and out of the Roots because I mean, Scott Storch started with the Roots as well.
Yeah, I mean,
what's my guy that used to chew on the nature stick all the time?
Was it Hub? I think his name was Hub.
I can't remember his name, but like the only people that I think that are still in the Roots that were there originally are Questlove and Black Thought.
Yeah.
My understanding.
Okay. They talking about it in the chat. Nate Jeezy said Hub.
Yeah.
That's what's up. And Sean Orr definitely said Common used to be a part of Four Corner Hustlers. He wasn't like that. I'm gonna take your word for it, bro. If you from the city, I'm gonna take your word for it. Go ahead, Lone. I'm sorry.
So he has cancer, and Jag said the group cut his insurance. Damn, that's messed up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Lone.
No, I mean, for the longest time, I mean, the Roots has pretty much been like Quest and Black Thought, James Poyser, you know, with Dice Raw peeking in and out every once in a while. But I don't remember the last time I heard Malik on a Roots cut. They did share something on their YouTube, which was a compilation of a whole bunch of Malik B joints. I mean, they did do that. I know. So
I've seen that. I've seen a couple Instagram posts or whatnot honoring Malik B or whatnot, but I didn't see anything else.
I guess my question would be, what is an acceptable amount of honoring of Malik B? You know what I mean? Like in that stance, if that's why she's upset and so forth. And obviously, I think somebody also said in the chat that it might have been Nate, that this was kind of the Common was the footnote. Yeah, Nate said that it was the footnote to the Malik situation, but also the Talib situation that's been going on, which we haven't even talked about. About him being suspended indefinitely from Twitter. So, and he was kind of a part of that kind of, that era of artists, if you will. Obviously from New York. Yeah, I mean, Soulquarians.
Big part of it.
Was Talib in the Soulquarians though?
Yeah, like he was like
Him,
I don't know how long, but he was actually a part of the collective for a little while. They could
Okay.
check me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I thought he was
Yeah.
a part of the collective for a little while.
I mean, I knew he rolled with those people. You know what I mean? But I didn't know he was in the 𝐀𝐻𝐻. But
Yeah,
so I mean, it seems like it's a whole bunch, a huge mess, and this 𝗏𝗏 thing's been going on crazy. But I don't want to. I mean, if we want to continue talking about the Malik thing, I don't want to jump ship off that. But yeah, there's lots of interesting things going on in the 𝐀𝐻𝐻 with the old school 𝐀𝐻𝐻 right now. So
the thing is like with Jaguar Wright, like Nate said, it's like, you know, they are with him passing away. That must have triggered something that she's known that's been going on for a long time, but didn't say it, or you know, like it just seems like she was around for a lot of stuff that was foul that nobody actually wanted to talk about. I guess as we continue to talk about it on here, it's more people popping up in the thread talking about they was paying him $300 a week and it's on the first 4 albums and they still was only paying him that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just all the stuff that continues to pop up. I revert back to what Nate said about
That's got to kind of be on him too. And I don't know the situation, but if he was on his fourth album and he's accepting $300 a week, then there had to have been something where he needs to speak up for himself.
That's
as far as his payment, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how I see that too. That's on him.
That's fair. I'm not bad at that. You know, like if you accept that, then that's what you get, right? Like that's what you take it.
I mean, this is the first I've ever heard about it too. You know, like if it was.
Yeah, I've never heard of this. Yeah, this is new to me. So
I haven't heard anything about Malik B since probably the last album he's been on or whatnot.
It's been a long time.
I don't think he was interviewed by anybody or nothing was said up until now.
Nah, it's been a minute, man. So you know, I would be very curious to see if this dies down or picks up steam, or you know, somebody like you know, Quest or Thought or somebody tries to diffuse it and come out and post something. I don't know, man. It just kind of caught me off guard with the comment joint because, you know, when you become a fan of an artist, you know, perception is crazy. It's like now, and especially when they stand for a certain thing and carry themselves a certain way, it's like, nah, I don't see that. But then you have to step back, you know, pull yourself back from that and just get realistic.
Well,
like,
I think this is also a thing where because they weren't the shoot 'em up, go to the strip club, we don't love these hoes type rappers, like, you know, where they went in another direction. You know, these were still young men that fall into the traps and some of the foibles that young men fall into. I mean, you know, I mean, they rap about this a little bit too. It's like, look, just because I kick the intellectual don't mean that I don't want to be sexual. And sometimes you can cross that line. So, I mean, just because, you know, like I said, like, because it's, you know, a lot of the most gangster ass rappers, these dudes, you know, been married for, you know, for a ridiculous amount of time to one woman, and you know, you don't hear about them ever. You know, if you listen to NWA's second album, you think that whole group should be in jail. But you know, MC Ren's been married. MC Ren, you know, MC Ren and Ice Cube and Dr. Dre until recently, they'd been with the same woman for 20 plus years. You know, and you know, a lot of these quote unquote conscious dudes who kick it to the head rap chicks, like either they're not married or they got mad baby mamas, or they're being accused of stuff like this. So, you know, a lot of times you got to understand. It's just like when people get all disappointed when a minister winds up doing something. He's still just a man, you know, and he might be able to talk that good shit when he's in the pulpit, but it doesn't mean that he is not human and doesn't fall into the same traps and, you know, same foolishness that, you know, any other man could fall into. So I know some people be like, oh, I'm so disappointed in comment. I was like, slow down.
Ninth Wonder had the coldest quote, man. He said, when he got on and got established in the industry, he said, when you really get into the industry and you sit down and you hang out with people, he said, you realize that niggas that talk about saving Africa and all that type of shit, those are the assholes. It's the people like Gucci and Jeezy and all those cats from the South just like him that are actually the cool guys that just chill and have a good time. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. He's like, because it's not what you think. All the people that's on that, the conscious trying to save Africa, those are the assholes. He said he learned that's the first thing he learned.
It's a bunch of bohemian assholes around here that be on that bullshit, disrespecting women behind closed doors. And I ain't saying that the rich are like that at all, but I have heard of that type of individual that plant seeds and then not help grow the seed as well.
Yeah,
look, I tried to give some of my homegirls the game. I said, look, if you start messing with a dude and like he hits you with that "Good morning, Queen" text, you're probably on some bullshit.
Hey, there's a pretty good chance, huh? It might be might be some foolishness in your future.
Watch out for them "Good morning, Queens" texts. There's usually some off-brand shit that comes with that.
Hey, my man Lone is a G. He ain't gonna never send that shit. Please believe that. All right, so let's go to let's go to the next topic on the rundown, man. Logic versus Joe Budden.
Well, hold up there because we didn't really talk about the other allegation there, which was Black.
You're right. Go ahead.
We didn't talk about the fact that she also said the Black Thought didn't write his raps.
Good point. My apologies.
That's something.
That's nothing to me. I don't believe that. Like you don't have to.
So at one point, so it says right here in this article by who's this by? It's a DX article. At one point, she had said that Malik and fellow Roots affiliate Dice Raw were behind some of Thought's greatest work. But as the allegations continued to fly, Young Guru chimed in and said, "Y'all know I don't get on these internets for nothing. I let a lot of things slide, but what you're not about to do is question Black Thought's pen. That's not about to happen in my lifetime." And so an interesting thing with all of that is the conversation that I saw either in the chat or somebody bring up that being in the studio and maybe taking rhymes from him and then putting it on something. It makes me wonder, like I've been in studio situations and written with people, and they've taken lines that I've used and put them on records. It doesn't mean that they're stealing lines from me. It just means that it makes sense for them to use something a little bit different. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't in the room with them, but the one thing that I will say is since 2000, or even the last decade, there has been very few people MC-wise that are as prolific with the pen as Black Thought is. And so, I'm pretty sure that he doesn't currently have a ghostwriter. So, seems a little goofy to me.
I just can't, like I said, this could be just the fan talking, but it's hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that Black Thought is not writing what we've heard all this time. Like, Lone, what you said is spot on from a studio standpoint. Like, you've been there before. You know how it goes. If you're writing, you collab. It can go back and forth between 2 or 3 people. If it's a lot of people in there that are being creative, we get that part. But it's like, nah, I just can't see. And the fact that Young Guru came out and said that, he never says anything when it comes to allegations or crazy beef or internet news or any of that shit. So the fact that he came out and said that kind of further lets me know that this might be some bullshit. Like I'm not going. Like, I'll stand corrected if something comes out, which I highly doubt it does, but I'm not going. I don't see that shit. Jay Diff, what you think, man? I don't see it.
It's kind of the same thing when everybody was saying Jay-Z didn't write his own stuff, or he was just biting all the time. He had to create something around those lyrics as well, even when he was borrowing a big line or whatever. With Black Thought, I mean, the way he puts things together, there's no way that he's got a ghostwriter. I mean, it's not really even a conversation. It's on some 2020 shit, man. At the end of the day,
I'm not going to have a conversation.
I don't really have anything to say to that.
No, there really isn't much to say to it. No, to be honest, even if you have, it's one of the comments, Black Thought had writer's block. It doesn't mean you're going to like write you're gonna steal somebody's raps. You know, like it's just it don't work like that.
Nah, man, I'm just not going with that. Even on the albums that Malik B was on, I mean, they don't even have the same style.
Nah, that's what threw me off. When you think about Black Thought from a stylistic standpoint about how he raps, wordplay, structure, how he puts it together. Nah, I just
it's not the same.
Nah, it just don't make
sense. It's kind of like, all right, so it came out. Everybody knew this that was hip, knew that Jay-Z wrote the bars or lines for Forgot About Dre.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear it.
I think he did next episode. I thought he wrote next episode.
Not next episode. Yeah. It was you can hear
Jay-Z Forgot About Dre.
It wasn't next episode.
Forgot About Dre, yeah.
It's Forgot About Dre.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
You can hear.
I thought it was next episode.
Still DRE.
Oh, still DRE.
Still DRE. Yeah. You can hear.
You got so many different songs that are named so similar.
Yeah. But yeah, you can hear Jay-Z all over that album. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like his pen.
Yeah, when you think about
like something Jay would say. When you're talking about Malik B writing for Roots, even early Roots stuff, they don't sound the same.
They sound similar though. They do sound similar. I mean, like a lot of. I mean, to me, when I listen to like old school Malik stuff, like to me, I hear Black Thought in that, and maybe it's just region, maybe it's just because they did work together, but that's just me personally. I do actually kind of hear a similarity. It doesn't sound like a biting. It just sounds like a similarity in style.
And the thing is, say Malik B was really doing all that for Black Thought. Okay, well, after Malik B wasn't around, well, who was writing for Black Thought then?
Right. Who was the hidden Black Thought after that? Yeah.
We're talking about
who wrote the joint when he freestyled for 8 minutes long.
Yeah, who wrote that?
Exactly. Who wrote that? Exactly.
Well, that was a Malik B rap from 1993.
Thanks, Long.
He was so far ahead of the game. He was writing about people that weren't even out and famous yet, in technology he didn't know about. That's how ill Malik. Like, I mean, and see, I'm not. This is where it can get kind of crazy, because if I feel like she's making this up or she has her facts wrong about Malik B being such a major contributor to Black Thought, and this is where we are right now. If you listen to all our opinions, this is going to hurt her validity to some people when it's talking about a sexual assault, whatever, however you want to put that, sexual impropriety with Common, because people are like, because if Black Thought is like, no, I wrote all my own shit going back to Do You Want More and Organics. Like Malik B was he was doing his thing, but I wrote all my rhymes. And people are going to say, if she lied about somebody writing their rhymes, where is she at when it comes to talking about potentially being sexually assaulted? That's where, and I don't want it to be that way, but you just, like, she has to prepare for that, because just listening to all our opinions specifically about Black Thought and him being prolific with his rhyme writing and us just believing him, when Common comes out and makes his statement, which he eventually will have to do, like, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. And that's why it's so hard for women to come forward. But also, she's tied it into some other things that, like, maybe you needed to separate a couple of these statements.
They're saying it in the chat though. Like they're saying it in the chat about, it coming off his anger being behind it. So to his point, to Jay Moore's point, it's like, if something comes out and it's fact checked and it validates Black Thought, this is stupid that we even have this conversation, but that is going to make her like it. Some of it is anger and just being bitter towards certain things that happen. So I don't know, man. We'll see. Like, that one's going to be very interesting to see who comes out and says what to try to diffuse it, or if it grows legs and continues to go. So, I mean, who knows on that? We're just going to have to kind of pull back and wait and see.
Yeah.
Let's shout out our partners real quick while we have a second. Shout out to Printfinity. That is Jay Diff's company. He owns that. Custom masks, custom printing work, T-shirts, sweatshirts, what I'm saying, hats, whatever you need, he has that. So make sure you break bread with my brother. Check him out for all things printable. He can take care of you for that. Family reunions, he do that too. I'm not gonna say the normal list that I normally say, but he can take care of you in regards to that customized printing. Indie CD and vinyl, we really appreciate them as always. They take care of us for our raffles. Anytime that we have raffle for our Patreon or just raffles for you guys, whether it be hats or anything like that, but they really take care of us with the wax, the albums, double albums, autographed copies, exclusive releases, numbered joints. So we really appreciate them and all that they've done for us thus far. Sun King Brewery, I don't know who has it other than me. I'm repping tonight. Is anybody else repping? Okay, I think
nope.
I'm the only one. Shout out to Sun King Brewery. They are our newest partner, and as I always say, and I will continue to say, we look forward to expanding our partnership with them once everything clears up, which is hopefully sooner than later. No Bad Ideas. They've been with us at one of our longest partner relationships. The hat that you see on the set when we get back to our regular set, book bags, T-shirts, all the shirts they send loan that we don't have, the rest of the old heads don't have. So they have been down with us from day one. We really appreciate them also. And bringing down the band, as always, is the hub. Everything that is related to the new old heads. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe. Once you search for Bringing Down the Band, hit the bell for notifications. So you can see all things related to us as well as new music. Shout out to Memphis and things of that nature. So we really appreciate Bringing Down the Band being the hub as always. They have held down Indianapolis for an extremely long time. So.
Did you mention Dr. Coleman?
I was about to mention Dr. Coleman. Shout out to Dr. Coleman. Located in Broad Ripple. Get your teeth right. I'm not going to say that I need it because y'all diss me every week. So I'm going to stay away from that.
Get your gingivitis taken care of.
Somebody said you burning ramen over there.
Somebody said what?
Somebody said you burning ramen.
You don't know how to cook rice? It's on fire.
Like you got that.
That sound like a hater.
That's not reefer. You're not over there. That's not the herbal essence, is it?
Plug my charger in from my computer. Yeah.
Anyway, burning some of that Erykah Badu.
I feel you.
You got that,
I will not,
that perfume.
I will not be wearing it.
You got that perfume that smells like her essence that had all them dudes going crazy and dressing weird.
I was waiting on you to cop.
You got that vaginal vape.
Stop, man. Anyway, let's get back into the rundown that we originally had while we got some time left. So Logic and Joe Budden have been, I don't want to say beefing, just exchanging comments. As we know, we talked about Logic's album last week that dropped, and on the Joe Budden podcast, Joe Budden was pretty much just saying what he always says about Logic and didn't really rock with his music, and they hit on the biracial stuff and all that. He spilled into that when he was on the podcast as well, which has nothing to do with the album per se, unless I guess he has some records on there speaking to that.
I will say that I've heard 2 songs off his new record, and I like both of them. So
I told you. I think you're gonna like it, man. It's pretty good from what I've heard. When I listened to it, I ran it twice. Sounded pretty good. But Logic responded to Joe Budden's comments. Joe was on live with Lupe Fiasco. He told him I would not apologize. He refused. He wasn't going to apologize to him. But he ended up doing that. But Logic had some interesting comments, man, about Joe Budden and the things that he said. And he said he doesn't like me for whatever reason. He wants to say I'm not black enough. I'm not good enough, said Logic. He's the person who's led to part of my depression, some of my darkest spaces. Then he added that he carries a heavy burden on people when people, exchanging that type of dialogue. And he said, bro, your words, they make people want to kill themselves, bro. And that's what Logic said in response to Joe Budden talking about his album and his, blackness or lack thereof. So I don't know about this one, man. Like, I don't know. On one hand, you can't tell people how to feel about, if they have mental health issues or, depression or whatever you suffer from. But I mean, is it fair to just place that onto 100% onto Joe and just have Joe wear that as you're doing a press run coming off the album? like I don't know about that. When it's something that doesn't sit too well with me, Joe apologized, you know, and you can never jump into someone's shoes. So far be it for me to tell him how he feels, but how do y'all feel about that from a standpoint of him just having that for Joe just to wear? You know what I'm saying? And just pretty much associating the majority of it or some of his issues, I will say, to comments that Joe said.
Well, Logic specifically said, and I'm reading a quote here. He said, "I didn't see the apology. I didn't see his review of the album or any of this." Logic responded when asked about the apology, "I literally have no issue with Joe Budden. I've never met him. I don't know him. He doesn't like me for whatever reason. He wants to say I'm not black enough. I'm not good enough. He's a person who's led to part of my depression, some of my darker spaces. So, bro, your words make me want to..." I mean, to me, those are Logic's feelings, and he's perfectly, for all of my, you know, I'm definitely documented in having issues with Logic myself, but to me, those are perfectly valid statements coming from Logic. You know, like, if he feels that way, that's the way he feels that way. And if it does contribute to him, because Joe maybe is a little quote unquote harsh, but because he is a little bit sometimes, as we all can be, I don't think he's contributing it. I don't think he's making it all about Joe. He's just saying part of what of your persona is, you know, overly critical, I guess. So, and I agree with that.
I had technical difficulties. Sorry about that. The new computer came right back up, though. Don't worry about it. Jump in, Jay Diff. I didn't get to hear you long. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
No, I would probably say, I mean, that's just how Logic feels. Personally, I couldn't say that he makes people want to kill themselves, because I like to know what other artists are taking Joe Budden that seriously to where they would want to do harm to themselves. I mean, he's a critic, and unfortunately, the job that Logic has, it comes with critics. You know, we're critical of Logic. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
His last album was actually pretty good to me, and I can't even say that me personally don't like him, but it's just that element of him being a mimic, and it's almost like he was trying too hard a lot of times. But yeah, I mean, Joe Budden is a hip hop artist turned critic, and he has a voice which can sway people one way or another, or you can brush it off as that's just Joe Budden. Just like who else has he talked about? The Migos. Migos put him in a song. They use it to their advantage. He's talked about Eminem. Eminem has pretty much just downplayed him. He's addressed him a couple times in his raps too. Logic could have took that same route if he wanted to, but as far as the whole him wanting to kill himself, I mean that has to do a lot with his personal issues. I mean, he did have a very popular song. His most popular song was about suicide prevention, which was the suicide phone number.
Yep.
So it's kind of going back to that, and I don't think Joe Budden was very critical of him back then, or was he? I'm not sure.
I don't even know.
He's never really been too high on Logic. Like he openly says that. Like I can't find a clip of him really giving Logic peas if I'm keeping it a buck. So he's pretty much always been this way as it relates to Logic.
Well, Logic signed, like we talked about before, Logic signed a very lucrative deal with the channel that we're on right now, Twitch. So I think he's good.
Yeah.
I don't think he should lose any sleep, but like I said, I can't speak on his mental per se, so that's just him.
Yep. Hello, Mike.
He's good. Yeah. Can you hear me?
With
Logic,
I just think he wants to, you know, he's had an immense amount of respect. He has a dedicated fan base, but I don't care who you are and what you say about people of a certain age in hip hop. You do want that acceptance and that love from a certain segment of the hip hop community. I think that still bothers Eminem to a certain extent, and I don't even think it has nothing to do with whiteness or perceived whiteness. It's just the fact that, like, you know, when you listen to Take That Tuesday, you don't hear Eminem. When we talk about people making jams, we don't talk about Logic. You know, I mean, maybe not Eminem was bothered, but so much of his fan base was bothered when Snoop Dogg said that Eminem is not in his top 10. And Eminem is somebody that's on Snoop's team. You know, he's like, look, you know, that's my little brother. But, you know, he's not in my top 10. But you got to think about how old Snoop is, how long he's been in the game. You know, he was 4 hours
Master
deep.
P saved his life, and he ain't in his top 10.
You know, Eminem
he definitely said that. Yeah,
I mean, and the people wanted to get on Snoop for saying that. I'm like, think when Snoop talks about his idols, he talks about people going back. He's talking about Slick Rick and LL Cool J and Run and DMC. Like, those are his idols. Like, you know, so you got for you to try to even crack into that top 10, because let's just be honest, a lot of people who like Eminem, they like Eminem, but they don't like hip hop. So to them, of course, Eminem is the best hip hop artist. They don't like anybody else.
Yep.
You know, with Logic, you know, they like Logic. They don't like hip hop. You know,
that's such a good talking point.
The disconnect comes a lot.
Logic has a
huge. I didn't even know Logic was mixed until like maybe his third or fourth release.
See, Charlemagne brought up the point, because he mentioned Charlemagne on the joint about calling him. And I hope I don't get this wrong. Saying that he was gay or something like that. Like, Charlemagne said something to that effect. Is what was addressed on a Logic song, and Charlemagne talked about on the Breakfast Club how to Terry's point about not knowing if he was mixed or not, saying that he plays to his white side, if you will, more than he would his quote unquote black side. That's what Charlemagne said. He's like, you know, you can just tell how he rocks. Like, he'll go to certain media outlets, but he won't go to others because of this or because of that. I'm like, I never really looked at it like that. I had to pull back and kind of, you know, from media standpoint, I wouldn't necessarily know, but a lot of people don't know Logic is mixed. And, you know, is it fair to say
they know now, because once he said it, he kept saying it on every album after.
Yeah, and I remember Lone, if I'm not mistaken, don't let me misquote you, but I remember you talking about him bringing that up all the time on his albums. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think it was me. I mean, my
might not have been you.
My thing with Logic has always been the fact that he sounds like somebody else. I honestly don't listen to him enough to hear that. I mean, maybe I did say that, but I don't remember saying that. But that's never really been my issue with him. So.
Okay.
No, that's not an issue. It was just funny that he did start kind of using that to. It's kind of like he played both sides essentially.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he was known as was Sinatra. That was the moniker he was going by. And then he kind of took on this other side of himself, and then he would kind of go back and forth. You know what I'm saying? So. I think he did kind of use it to his advantage to get in the game, and then once he was in the game, that's when he decided to disclose to those that didn't know exactly what was going on. And then he would go back and revisit the Sinatra kind of persona, but then he would get back into the Logic that we know today.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing
100%.
He's interestingly playing both sides.
If
that's
what I wanted
to. You know, like he really is. He's kind of playing on the light skin, white privilege, but also the privilege of being a black artist in hip hop itself. You know, because
that's what I wanted you to touch on.
He is playing on both of those things, and it's easy to see. But you know, I don't know if he does it intentionally or not, or has done it intentionally, but you know, it's what it is. I'm guessing his fan base, the Rat Pack. I'm guessing there are a lot of white folks. So.
Yeah, his last album is decent to me, though. I ain't gonna front.
No,
Under Pressure was very good.
I really enjoyed the Logic album. I mean, sort of enjoyed
What's that?
I mean, it's the first time I was like, okay, I could listen to an album and not think, okay, this is what he's trying to do. Like he had some songs, like even when he did this
was
with all the Wu-Tang members, I'm like, yeah, this shit is this still ain't it. It's him trying too hard.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
The only thing that kind of caught me off guard on this last album was him using the 𝐀𝐻𝐃𝐒 beat and kind of hook per se. You know, that's
for
almost
elevators.
sacrilegious to me. That's almost sacrilegious to me for him to use that song like that. But it was decent. And then he kind of used the who was that did the ABCs in their song? There was a underground cat that kind of went through the ABCs in his rap. He
Papoose?
A couple artists did.
No.
Papoose did
That's not
Alphabetical Slaughter.
Okay. I wasn't necessarily talking about Papoose. I was thinking about a more underground cat that did it. But
Mac Lethal, maybe?
Oh, okay.
It might have been Mac Lethal.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Mac Lethal did a bunch of weird stuff like that. There are a couple artists that have done that in the past, but yeah.
Yeah, but like that's the only thing that I caught on this album that was kind of something that somebody already did per se. Other than that, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, 𝐊𝐿ians is off. You know, that's off limits.
Yeah, you can't mess with 𝐊𝐿ians.
Stay away from it.
I didn't like that, but it's cool.
Yeah, you gotta stay away from. There's no way to do that again. Like this, just I'm gonna need you to pull back, brother, on 𝐊𝐿ians. Leave that alone. You know what I'm saying? Leave all that alone.
Leave it alone.
But leave it alone. Let's see. I know Jay Moore gotta get ready to pay that child support. Let's see.
I'll take care of mines.
Good job, brother. Good job.
we got 8 minutes.
8 minutes? All right. So I don't want to jump in. That other topic that I had, that won't die. We can touch that one next week because we'll be fine there. Okay, so Cuban Link turned 25. Only Built for Cuban Links turned 25. You know, we talk about anniversaries here and there for songs or albums or whatever. We all know it's timeless. We know the tracks. You know, we know how we felt when he got when we got it. But Ray said he's doing a part 3 when he talked to what's my man name with the trash laugh from that be with Tidal and Jay-Z? Elliott Wilson with the trash laugh. Yeah. So his laugh is trash. He sounds like an idiot when he laughs. Cornball. But he told him that he was going to do a part 3. So I'm not a trilogy guy where it's like, okay, part 4, part 5 of albums that were extremely dope. I don't know if I need a Only Built for Cuban Links part 3. To that, y'all say what? I'm gonna start with Lone.
I didn't. Yeah,
good question.
I hope RZA ain't producing it. I'm gonna say no. I didn't need it. I didn't need a part 2.
Hey, RZA is one of me and Lone's heroes for the record, but he started the decline, and you know we got to hold fam accountable.
Hey man, the Abbott is the Abbott, but
Abbott is Abbott. 100%.
And part 2 is fine. Don't get me wrong. Like it's good, but we didn't need a part 2. Like just make another album.
Yeah, sometimes things you need to just name it something different. That way it's
exactly.
not, you don't have to hold the candle to it the same way you hold it to the Purple Tape. I mean, that whole element and the energy of the Purple Tape, it was right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It made something amazing. And you have to try to tap into that hunger again. You're not hungry anymore.
I'll be
essentially.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Most of the time when these artists are trying to meet a certain level in themselves, they're not that same person anymore because they've already attained the what they were going for. So now that hunger is not in them the same way. So you might as well just name it something different. Jay-Z is a prime candidate of somebody that is moving and structuring their rap career the right way.
Yeah.
You want me to keep it 100?
He might have been. Yeah,
he did, but I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now. So they were both out at the same time. You don't see Jay-Z trying to go back and do a Reasonable Doubt part 2 right now. he's not going to get that same energy,
Oh, I
that
see your
same
point.
feel.
I see your point.
He's not in
I
the
see
same
your
place
point.
in life.
Right.
Right.
Hell no.
And that was my issue with the second album. That was my issue. Like, I thought it was decent. I thought it was pretty good, but it was almost what 15 years in between the records dropped, or shit, almost 20. And it was good, but like the first one was so. It's one of the best hip hop albums ever. And it was just weird to try to even to go down that route.
You know what's crazy? Part 2, I thought part 2 was cool. I wasn't blown away by part 2.
I wasn't
thought
either.
Part 2 was cool.
I thought it was cool. I
Like-
didn't think it was spectacular. I thought it was good, but there were definitely some missed records on there to me. So
We got the homie Sean O said part 3 exclamation point. He said, well, you do. I think that was in response to me saying, do we need it? He said part 2 was an amazing sequel. I disagree, brother. I do not think part 2 was an amazing sequel. I thought it was cool. I don't think it ain't moved me like that. Jay Moore, what's your thoughts about the trilogies, man? Do we need another Only Built for Cuban Link or what?
We don't, because I'm a Raekwon fan. Hell, I bought the Shaolin versus Wu-Tang album and loved it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he'd have named that, Only Built for Cuban Links, 1.5 or something, like, I'd have probably had a different expectation of it. Like, there's no need. Yeah. Like, Raekwon has quietly put out really great albums, nice bodies of work that don't have the Cuban Link title in them. And I think a lot of times people, are just so, like, I remember when that album came out, like, I was a freshman in college. It marks, like, music marks time. It makes me feel a certain kind of way to hear those records. So when even I couldn't get that feeling back, because when Cuban Links 2 came out, I'm driving to somebody's office, and like it's not the same. I'm not sitting in my dorm room playing Madden with my roommate and some homies. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
a good point.
Like, trying to recapture. And they think about a certain place in time where they were, and it just is not going to be the same. So even if he makes a Cuban Link 3 and it's a great album, it's not gonna recreate that time in life when you heard the first Cuban Links album. So I mean, unless it's going to thematically be the same, I think there are parts of Cuban Link 2 that reminded me, okay, thematically of the first Cuban Links album, but like this, you're talking about more than 25 years by the time that album probably hits the streets. You're not in that place. You got kids in college. You know what I'm saying?
It just don't hit the same, man.
It's not the same. You're a long way from Park Hill and standing out on the block, hustling and drinking 40s on the corner. Like, that's not your life.
That ain't
anymore.
it.
And there's
I
no
agree
problem
with that 100%.
You're not supposed to be in that same place.
Do I think trilogies and part 2s is out of the realm for it to be successful? I wouldn't say that. But certain albums are so good and so timeless, like Lone said, like, just leave them alone, man. Like, it's unnecessary. Like, you're not gonna be able to line the skits up. None of it's not gonna feel the same top to bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess we can talk about that another time in terms of if it's been executed correctly. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's on to do a part 2 that was dope? Like, I think it's few and far in between. I can't think of a lot of projects where it's like, we did a part 2 of a classic, not just an album.
Look,
it's gotta be a classic.
Just think about Godfather 3. Okay,
right.
Think about Return of the Jedi.
Think about Ghostbusters 2.
Oh God, he a hater.
Ghostbusters
is the best.
That shit came out yesterday too.
First of all, I'm not about to do this because he's gonna get
my blood pressure. What would be dope though? What would be dope is if Raekwon got with Griselda and them and did something with them to kind of
I'd be for that
same kind of energy back. I can G for that, but
it makes sense.
Other than trying to capture that same sound from the Purple tape, it just ain't gonna happen.
I mean, the video of Raekwon on the stage with them performing before they became Griselda, with him being like, "Yo, I'm passing the torch to them, like they carrying it on." I'm saying, so if you
need to enlist them to help him get some new energy.
Yeah, man. Like if you get Raekwon and you got Conway and Benny around them, That's different. Now that is intriguing to me. That excites me. That gets my attention. Go ahead, Lone. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I'd say more so the producers, man. Like get Derringer on there, get Alchemists, get that sound, get the modern day sound that Ray and them built. That it's
Conductor Williams.
Yep, conductor. Shouts to it's Kansas. I think that's where he's from, Oklahoma. Yeah, he works with Stick Figure a lot. Sure. He works with Stick Figure. He used to go by D Will, if you remember D/Will. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. But I would listen to it just off the respect of the OG. But I can't say I would be excited. Can't say it would be something that I would be looking forward to. That's just my honest opinion. Is there anything else you guys want to say before Jay Moore got to go pay that child support?
Nope. That's
and
it.
Again,
no?
I apologize, Jay Moore, for ever putting that on his brain that you had to pay child support. We're gonna keep beating it like a dead horse.
I know Jay Moore had no kids. I
Too
was
late.
like, no, this is just
Too
like
late.
we
Like
had
he do his laptop every week.
Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry about it though, because I ain't gonna stop now. This is your fault, sir. So we appreciate everybody that's in the thread. Make sure y'all stay in the chat. Stay with us for the post show. Rock with us. We're gonna be talking crazy, talking a little more foolishness. Jay Moore got to go pay them bills. So for the entire crew, I am Major 7th. Again, make sure you guys go to YouTube and subscribe to Bringing Down the Band. Search Bringing Down the Band. Hit the bell for notifications. Rock with us on Discord as well. That's what we are streaming from right here, and also on Twitch where you guys are in the chat. Follow us there, man. We're trying to blow the Twitch page up, so we really appreciate all the support we can garner and get from you guys. With that, I will say peace, and we'll see y'all next week.